What is up, everybody? Saki, how's it going? We are back at it. So yesterday went really well. Having both the AM and, well, I guess pre-market and market open streams. So probably going to do that. Yeah, we're going to break down Tesla today. We're going to also take a look at um, CYDY's call from last night, kind of break those down so people have a grasp on what's going on. There's a lot to break down in Tesla. I'm going to share kind of my big thoughts on Tesla and what that looks like. Okay, so without further ado, let's head over to TipRanks to see how we're doing. Okay, still not bad. Still looking pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Hmm. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this growth here. Where portfolio is seeing 16% gains, almost 17% gains, whereas the market is down five and a bit. My hope is that as we head into Q4, my portfolio is going to continue to deliver at this level, where the positions that I took earlier in the year, January, February, March, morning Timu, the positions I took earlier in the year, January, February, March, April, are now finally paying off, right? So herein lies that 6 to 8 month window. The initial plays that I took here, so January should start to pay off here. And I mean, June or even July had a decent return. I did see that the Entercom CEO bought more. We'll touch on Entercom as well later today. Um, but now what we're seeing is okay. Well, the gains that I had through March, April, when the market started to recover, those are starting to translate into something now. Uh, the equity is looking great. Uh, if I pull up the options portfolio, what we're looking at is roughly $3,000 in value. What I need to have happen, and I guess I can show you guys this instead of having you stare at the wrong screen. Uh, the what I really need to have happen here is I need to see, MFA Alcoa. This is $20. I'm not really hurting one way or the other on this. MFA, I thought for sure would have bounced back by now. It just hasn't, uh, which is fine. I'm okay to scrap that. So this is like $60 gone, right? But space is that huge play into the launch later in October. And then ETM is up pre-market here. So, I mean, yeah. I haven't seen anything about KKR, so I can take a look at that later. What I want to do now is take a look at Tesla. And the headlines here. Apple launches first online store in India. That's one that I want to be looking at. House passes a spending bill to avert the government shutdown, so that's good. There's KKR there. Got the Corsair IPO and Bentley. Nike earnings happened. Want to take a look at ACB. All right. So let's get the ball rolling here. Apple. Yeah. Yeah, it really does look like that good old pump and dump kind of feeling. Um, okay, so people can now buy Apple directly in India. They're saying the market is predominantly Android, so it's a new opportunity for them. Okay, House passes. Yeah, it's a huge move because here's a market that isn't currently consuming your product. It's billions of people. Um, Very mobile heavy culture. Very, very mobile heavy culture. So if you can break in and take market share in there, that's just icing on the cake, right? But essentially, the argument seems to be going, well, we build phones there. Why aren't we selling phones there? Which is, I think, a valid point. Um, okay. Has passed a short-term spending bill to keep government funded through December 11th. The Senate is expected to vote on it this week. Hmm. Okay, the House passes this bill, which gives us enough cash. This isn't a stimulus bill. This is just the bill to keep the government afloat so that it can continue to operate. But that's important. It is important to have that in place, especially when we're talking about things like a Supreme Court justice, right? Uh, when we're discussing a Supreme Court justice being appointed sometime in the next month. All right. Okay, so this guy appointed by Bush is right. Bush nomination, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Clinton, Trump, Trump, Reagan. Holy cow. Reagan, Bush. But I think, yeah, so this is the current members. These guys don't matter. These ones that retired. But oh man, it looks like Trump is going to get to nominate. Is this his third? Obama got two. Trump has two. And he gets to do a third. All right, so there's a simple chart of what the current Supreme Court looks like. We had Sonia Sotomayor, who is the lady who was appointed by Obama. Very, very far left lean. And then Ruth Bader Ginsburg was also a hard left proponent. She is gone, which causes this whole spectrum to shift very hard right, especially if they're capable of getting somebody in. So, this was the last guy that Trump put through, and then Brett Kavanaugh was the other one that he put through. Now Kavanaugh's more right leaning for sure, but um, even if they come in somewhere anywhere on this line here, what you've got is a far more right leaning conservative board. And if you're looking at the age of some of these candidates, I mean, Clarence is getting up there, and so is Steven. So, other than that, though, these guys are relatively young. These two are relatively young. This is not going to move for years and years and years. This Supreme Court is going to be a hard right leaning. A very hard right leaning Supreme Court moving forward for decades. So glad my low income experiment week is over today. I tried living a week by using only Macs $5 per day for food. Eggs, rice, and fish sticks every day is over, and I'm ordering a massive burger meal. Nice, nice. Well, I mean, and I do want to applaud you for the effort that you've made, um, the effort that you've made to give that a shot at least. I mean, it's rough depending on what you want the Supreme Court to do, right? Even if the Democrats win, any legal challenges over the next 20 years that head to the Supreme Court are going to be stacked against them. It makes a big difference. And vice versa. In the event that Trump does win, gets 4 more years, any legal challenges brought forth against him to the Supreme Court level have a high likelihood of just being quashed. So the stalling and the political jabs against Trump that he's faced in the first 4 years, those are gone. They won't exist. Okay. Yeah. Pfizer and Vivid. I mean, gene therapy is going to be big. It really is. Gene therapy is going to be a big deal. And more companies are starting to evolve towards it. CRISPR is one that we were watching pretty closely. Martini and I had done a breakdown on. I'm not familiar with Vivid because it's privately held. It wasn't one of the ones that we did an overview on, but it's good that Pfizer's expanding their pipeline, but this is a phase 1/2 clinical trial. So, what is gene therapy? So, the idea is instead of you trying to attack the disease, you are genetically altering the body to fight the disease. There is no vid. No, we didn't do it on video. We broke it down in Discord. All right. So the way that it works, guys, is this is oh, maybe this picture's better. Okay, this picture's better. Okay, you see how we have two sides here, yeah? There's clearly an army on this side and there's an army on this side. Let's say that this side is your body and this side is a disease, okay? Traditionally what we've done is just say, okay, well, your body is your body, and what we'll do is we will give this body weapons to shoot and kill the mob on this side, okay? And really, that's it. What we're looking to do is completely weaken um, and kill this disease. That's the whole idea. Um, now what we're doing is saying gene therapy, what if we, instead of giving this side weapons to kill the disease, what if we create an army that can just ignore these people? They can just ignore the side of the army. What if we made these people 10 feet tall and pure muscle, right? Um, Obviously, they're not going to be concerned about this. What if we made them 10 feet tall, pure muscle, and they shoot lasers out of their eyes? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that the gene therapy itself is curing the disease. It's just making it irrelevant to the body. That's what they're trying to accomplish with gene therapy. Saki, I don't know. I really don't know the science on it, beyond the fact that it is this simple explanation. But it yeah, it's a big deal, and it's the future. Okay, so KKR is going to invest 55 billion. So, yen? Is that yen? Into so almost $1 billion. This is the second time that KKR has bought into Reliance Industries. I'm wondering if they're looking to do a takeover of some kind, really. Um, Kind of at this point. Okay, we've got Corsair Gaming. IPO coming. It feels a little bit steep, 238 million, but we'll see. Okay, Tesla, here we go. Is everybody ready? Buckle up. It's going to be a nutty ride. Um, okay, so this is a reverse timeline. So we're going to start down at the bottom. Okay, so the initial announcement we had was the new 80 millimeter cell, right? 5 times the energy, 16% more range, 6 times the power. And they're already producing this. They've ramped up production on it. Okay, so we've got new cells. Great. What else? Because new batteries is not new cars. That's not enough. In my mind, that's huge. 500% increase as far as energy capacity and 600% increase on power. I think that's huge. But the market didn't think that was enough. So let's keep going. Okay, this is the understatement of the year, guys. Elon Musk says Tesla will be head and shoulders everyone else in manufacturing, even as the rest of the industry pours out long-range EVs. One of the things that Tesla announced yesterday was a vertical production line, a seamless vertical production line. So what they figured is they've been able to 10x the productivity of an assembly line for parts, which is going to allow them to take traditional factories that Tesla was using, and where a traditional factory can be scaled down now to about a tenth of the size. That doesn't mean that they're just going to do that and go, okay, well, we've got all this extra space. What they're going to do is put 9 more factories in there. So in the same space that they had one factory before, you'll now have 10 factories worth of output happening. That's huge. That is absolutely massive. And I think it's being severely underplayed. It's not being understood. And it really needs to be. That's a huge deal. That you can all of a sudden take a look at your production system and say, I'm going to 10x my production. That's huge. This was future talk. By 2030, Elon believes that he will be able to um, have a 3 terawatt battery, which would be sufficient to eliminate fossil fuels. I'm not sure if he said globally or stateside, but yeah, essentially he will be able to change the game, completely change the game. Um, so it's interesting here. He's saying that nickel was the big announcement. For me, nickel wasn't the big announcement. It was silicone was the big announcement. I'm not sure what he's saying with nickel, but I don't know what the current capacity is. It's pretty far off though. Um, yeah, it's 100 kilowatts. So just to be clear, what we're talking about is a jump from kilowatts to not gigawatts, terawatts, which is massive, right? So kilo to mega is 1,000, mega to giga is 1,000, giga to tera is 1,000. So that's 1,000, thousand, thousands. What is that? A million times the power capacity? Uh, how many kilowatts in a terawatt? Yeah. So what you're looking at is currently we have 100. They are making the claim that you will be able to have, what is that? One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 million watts. Yeah, the home system, the HVAC system, the power grid system were all big announcements. Again, guys, the big thing for me was the yeah, essentially. This was kind of cool. So essentially, what they explained here was what they explained here. was what they are looking to do with Tesla vehicles is they are looking to uh, essentially do the same thing that they did with aircraft back in the day, where aircraft they used to try to store fuel in a container in the wing, and that caused for a lot of disruption and made it difficult to store it safely. And so eventually, what they started doing is they just built the wings to be fuel containers, right? So they just made it so that the wings could safely be a container in and of themselves. Um, and the interesting with that was now what they're going to do with batteries, instead of trying to cram batteries into a space at the bottom of the vehicle, what they're going to do is they're just going to make the bottom of the vehicle a giant battery. This allows for the morning hair. Saki, enjoy the meeting, man. We'll still be here when you get back. It does a couple of different things. One, it maximizes the amount of cells they can get in the bottom of the vehicle instead of there being just this negative space separating all of these different little battery packs. By having one giant battery at the base of the vehicle, it provides structure. So the car is actually a lot stronger, which means there's a lot less risk in the event of an accident. As well, you've got the ability to actually have a larger battery placed in the bottom of the vehicle, which is always better, right? More battery, more power, more energy. Everybody loves it, right? Um, Hair, my understanding is that it's not a single battery, but it's a unit of batteries that's built into this piece that's part of it. Um, I imagine that if you were going to take a look at the base of a Tesla, you would just be able to raise the vehicle, unscrew that part, and then reinstall a new battery in the event that there's something faulty. Now, that wouldn't be cheap, but I think they're going to be able to do it based off of what we saw yesterday. This is huge. So they estimate that it's going to cut the costs in half. In half. Production costs in half, while unlocking a range increase of 54%. So, I mean, right now, if you're in a Tesla, you can go, what, 200, 300 kilometers on a charge? Well, now you can go 400 to 450, right? Is that right? No, 300 to 450. That's big. That's a big gain. This is the other thing. When the cars become fully autonomous, they're looking at a $25,000 price point, which is extremely reasonable. Again, that's big news in my books. Yeah, and that seems to be the question that everybody has this morning is this priced in? Is this news of the future already priced in? And in my mind, I cannot, I absolutely cannot see how you can price in news of this nature. That's a huge jump. 100 terawatts to 3 terawatt, or 100 kilowatts to 3 terawatts in a decade. You can't price in something at that scale because most people just lack the ability to grasp how massive that is, right? How absolutely massive that is. That you've created a factory that operates on seamless vertical integration. They need to keep saying that. It's not just vertical integration, it's seamless vertical integration. So there's no handoff. The entire belt, the entire system works in unison, constantly moving from beginning until final production. It's all done seamlessly, which is huge, which is where they're getting the cost value on this. But that they'll be able to take their existing factories and 10x production out of them is just obscene. It's absolutely obscene. So, with that said, Let's take a look at. I'm going to pull up TD here and take a look at Tesla. So Tesla at one point dipped down below 400. Last night it was at 395 at one point. Um, why is this not popping up? You guys should be able to see this. There we go. Okay. Big sheet. Tesla. All right. So let's go back. I always like to go out to 5 years when we're talking about something like this, where we're trying to look 10 years into the future, right? So let's go 5 years back. We could go 10 years back, but let's go 5 years back. 5 years ago. Now this is obviously adjusted for the split and yada yada yada, but irregardless, if you go back 5 years ago, Tesla was worth $52 a share. Okay, $52. Over time, we've seen some growth. We've seen some decline, and then some outrageous growth into a decline. This is COVID, right? Everybody got hit here. And then this. Okay. In my mind, this trend doesn't stop for the next little while. So if you're looking to play Tesla today, tomorrow, on the week, go with God. Who knows? Who knows how quickly people are able to process this announcement? But in my mind, if you're looking to play Tesla 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this is at least half off. At least half off, if not significantly more. In 10 years, if they're able to actually upgrade the energy, remember, 3 terawatts is the goal. They may not exactly meet that goal, but still to revolutionize battery technology from where we currently are at 100 kilowatts to even 1 terawatt. That's going to be massive. It's going to completely revolutionize the entire industry, and it's going to take a serious chunk out of oil and fossil fuels. So for me, I'm gonna say that this looks more like over the next 10 years, closer to an Amazon price evaluation, closer to 2,000, 2,500, $3,000, over a decade. So the question is, do you want a 10x over a decade? In my mind. How's it going, Vestos Gremlin? Deep fried deals. I see your follow. Thank you so much, guys. I don't put notifications up. I find that they are just kind of a big distraction, so I don't do that. But I do appreciate all of you guys that are following, subscribing, watching on YouTube, watching on Twitch. It's always a blast to have you guys around. I believe if you look down at the bottom left on Twitch, there is a new Canuck Buck option in there. You guys requested that yesterday, that you can spend your Canuck Bucks in order to throw out a ticker and have me look at it. That's now available for you guys. But this is my insight on Tesla, guys, is that I think it continues to run. Now, is that going to be today? I think 500 by end of the week is possible. We're hovering on that 404, 405 really early here in the morning. But yeah, I think 500 by the end of the week is reasonable. I don't think that that's insanity by any stretch of the imagination. Um, all right, moving on. That's Tesla, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody else have any other questions before we move on here? Yeah, I think it's going to be a good run. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so if I can figure this out, my hope is that others can also figure it out, and that the big institutional investors are also going to figure this out. That this is a huge deal. That it doesn't really matter about Tesla as a car producer. What matters is the revolutionizing of industry in both the energy sector and in the production sector. Those two things alone warrant a very serious look. Yeah. So what is the PE of the entire energy sector of the US? Commercial and residential. What's the PE on that? Because that's the number you're trying to plug in over the next 10 years. If they are capable of producing 3 terawatts of energy in a battery, that what you need to calculate is the value of that to the entire US economy. The network Elon has built through Tesla gives him proprietary ownership of the energy sector. It, it, yeah, it's insane. It's insane. It really just leaves me kind of blown away. Absolutely blown away. It doesn't matter if it's one battery or not. A 3 terawatt capability eliminates the need for fossil fuels to power the country, the US, the domestic US. Currently, a Tesla car runs on 100 kilowatts. A 3 terawatt battery is insanity. A 3 terawatt capability is insane. Absolutely insane. The announcement is a 3 terawatt battery capacity by 2030. He's talking about a battery. He's talking about a single battery that is capable of a 3 terawatt capacity. Now, I don't know that that's a realistic claim. A decade is a long time, and we're innovating very quickly. I don't know that that's a realistic claim. However, if he comes even close, if he comes in at 1 terawatt, it's insane. It's insane. I want to find the actual presentation here. You guys can't hear this. Hold on.
So the grid is going sustainable very, very quickly. Now, it's also worth noting that the length of time that power plants last is on the order of 25 years. So even if 100% of energy generation was sustainable, it would still take 25 years to convert the grid. And per year is like what we probably expect to make. It's been somewhat flattening out, actually, in recent years. So
I mean, early growth.
I really wish that they had put episodes in here. Yeah, this is the 2017 goal. This is the...
We'll probably be on machine revision 6 or 7 by the time we do.
So he's talking a single factory. Louder, please.
The art to the best of our knowledge. And I think there's probably room to improve even beyond that.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so what he's talking about then is the factories themselves. He's talking about a factory.
So we're able to, from a volume standpoint, actually get what, in a smaller form factor than Giga Nevada, we were able to get many times the cell output. So you can see, like, basically we can get a terawatt hour in less space than it took to make a gigawatt hour, 150 gigawatt hours. So this is pretty profound. You know, it's like, I would actually not have thought this was possible several years ago, that we could actually get to terawatt hour scale in less space than what we currently envision for doing 150 gigawatt hours.
Yes, simpler accelerates terawatt hour scale, and that's what we need to do to accelerate our mission. And you know, as Elon said, we're going to try to even improve on this as we push towards our goals, which are...
Yeah, so this is just for this is just talking about Tesla internal cell production. As I tweeted out earlier, we will continue to use our cell suppliers, Panasonic and LG and CATL, and so this is 100 gigawatt hours supplemental to what we buy from suppliers. Yeah, essentially, this does like reduce our weighted average cost of a cell, because but it allows us to make a lot more cars and a lot more stationary storage. And then long term, we're expecting to make on the order of 3,000 gigawatt hours or 3 terawatt hours per year. I think we can. I think we've got a good chance of achieving this actually before 2030, but I'm highly confident that we could do it by 2030.
When you look at the size of that factory on the previous page, it really shows how enabling all of these advancements are.
Okay, so what they're talking about here, and Raid, you are correct. It's not one battery. I was incorrect on that. It's not one battery. What they're talking about is the output of the Gigafactory. So they have the Nevada Gigafactory being that is built. They have additional Gigafactories being built. They're estimating that in 2022 they will have 100 gigawatt output capacity in a year, and then by 2030 they're looking to turn that into 3 terawatts. So they're saying that instead of gigafactories, you'll have terafactories, and those terafactories will be able to produce across his grid 3 terawatt hours, which is, I think he goes on
achieving a 3 terawatt hour goal by 2030. And not only is all of that manufacturing innovation fantastic for enabling scale, it's also an additional 18% reduction in dollar per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So we have a manufacturing system. We've got a cell design. What are the active materials we're going to put in that cell design? Let's talk about the anode first. Let's talk about silicon.
Oh yeah, this reminds me. I want to look at silicon today. I want to look at silicon miners that are publicly traded and create an ETF on that. We'll do that. We'll do that later today. Yeah. So I mean that announcement in that segment there was really underplayed, but current energy demands of the U.S. Okay, so they're saying that the peak levels are 11.8 kilowatt hours per person per day in the US. So times 365. Calculator. Okay, so 11.68 by 365. Okay, how many people in the US? 300 million-ish, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I just want a number. I don't like that. Give me a number. When you start to give me letters in my numbers, I don't like it. I'm a basic man. Okay, so equals to 11.68 by 365 by 300 million. Okay, so that is 333. So this is trillion, so it's a quadrillion. You need a quadrillion kilowatt hours. A terawatt is um 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's, am I doing this right? This would be millions. That's billion. So a terawatt is a billion kilowatts. So it's a billion. Um, so let's take off divided by 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by a billion. Okay, so this is in terawatts. This is how much energy we need in order to supply the entire US power grid. Is we need 1,278 terawatts of energy. He's saying that he will have a gigafactory that produces 3. So it doesn't completely make the oil and nuclear sector obsolete. It doesn't. So that's just not a thing. Now, depending on how many terawatt factories they build and how much smaller they can make them, I think that really changes things as well. If you could have a terafactory in, I mean, what's this divided by 3? Okay, whatever. I don't care. Equals to this divided by 3. So you would need 420 of these Terra plants in order to completely eliminate fossil fuels in the US. Fossil fuels as far as daily energy consumption. The fossil fuels will always have a place doing something, but You're a physics man. I am not a physics man. I'm a basic man. So 426 is, what did I just divide here? Right. So this is how many terawatt hours you need. I'm dividing it by 3 because that's how much production they think a single plant will put out. So you need 426 teraplants. Divide that by the 50 states, right? You're going to create a grid. That's 9 teraplants per state. Yeah, 9 tera factories per state is what this would require. Now, he said he thought they could get there before 2030, but 2030 at the latest. If there's a breakthrough that takes us to this level, I mean, it would have to be a massive breakthrough. But if we could get this to happen over the next 10 years, this really does change the game. This is a huge deal. All right, I'm going to go fill up my water, and then when I come back, I am going to build out the silicone ETF, because that looks like a thing that needs to happen here. But yeah, let's do that. Huge shout out to the fine folks at Restream. They're going to keep you company while I head away here, just for a moment. Go here. I don't want to blow out your guys' eardrums. All right. Huge shout out to Restream guys. They are the ones that make this possible for me to hang out with all you badass folks over on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all at once. And I'm a big fan of what they do. I dig the chat. I dig the tool. Yeah, so if you're considering streaming, I would definitely vouch for Restream. It's a hell of a lot simpler than learning OBS, let me tell you, because I've done OBS, I do OBS. The learning curve is significantly smaller when you jump in with Restream. Let's get back down to it here, though. We're going to go here. We're going to go here. We're going to play this. Okay, ooh, redeemed, pick a ticker, you name it. I'll look at it. Yeah, I can definitely take a look at Mark. I'm gonna have to look more into silicon and break this down because this is giving me medical stuff. I don't want breast implants. I want mining. All right, Mark. We're taking a look at Mark here. So let's start here. Remark Holdings. Tech company, AI-based solutions for businesses, operates CanCan, a data intelligence platform, offers AI-based vision products, computing devices. Okay, so AI is the future for sure. Odd. Okay, so they're based out of Vegas. They do AI and AI based solution, but they also own ShareCare, a website that does health and wellness, and bikini.com, an e-commerce site that sells swimwear. Okay, so they've got a little bit of retail exposure. They're a little bit in healthcare, and they're in AI. You want breast implants. Kekwe. Kekwe. Okay, let's head to TipRanks on Mark and see what they've got going on. Okay, the analysis on this is a neutral. The analysts, it currently only has a single analyst from Roth Capital, 5-star analyst, so that's not bad. He's got a 425 price point on this, so 400% upside. Not a lot of people adding positions. There are some people closing their positions in it. This was just reiterated yesterday. Doesn't give any details as to what his thought process is on this. I think AI is an eventuality. They're not talking about AI in vehicles here, though. They're talking about AI in a commercial space. I think this is overpriced. I don't agree with that price point. Let's take a look at their earnings here. Down 20% year over year. They beat by about $1 million. Um, Regain NASDAQ compliance. China deal worth $2 million. Hera, I would say on this, I would give it a $2, $2.50 price point. And I would, yeah, I would say $2, $2.50 over the next year. They really are tied to retail more than I would like, and we're talking brick and mortar retail. So they're tied to an industry that is really struggling to grow and expand here. I like their tie to China as far as mobility. I like that they're using thermal AI in order to identify COVID. However, I feel like this is a they don't have anything proprietary. It's a general AI offering. Um, it's not rocking my socks off. Is my thoughts on it. Hopefully that helps. Anything else you want me to break down other than that? Because I mean, $2 million, they pull in about 2 million a quarter, right? So that the phase two contract with China is only $2 million. It's really not a ton. It's not like it's going to float them even for a year. That gets them through a quarter. Um, Hopefully that helps. I don't completely dislike it. I think there is still room for it to grow. But not to the 450 mark that guy's got set. I disagree with him. Um, yeah, hope that helps. Uh, okay, so this is not encouraging for me. This is so the World Federation of Advertisers has decided what counts as hate speech, and they will move forward with their definition of that. And that's going to be applied across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I would like to see what this is, and I would like for people outside the World Federation of Advertisers. I'm sure they're a great group of guys, but this body is not an elected body. It is not a legal body. This is a marketing body. This is not where this decision should be coming from. Um, Bonkers, bonkers. Okay, ACB. Let's do it. ACB. How are we looking, ACB? So, just so you guys know, my take on the pot industry is that until the Republicans are out of office, we will not see this removed from a class one designation in the US, which leaves us essentially with just a Canadian market in North America. It's about 30 million people in Canada as a whole. Now you take out children, you take out the elderly, you take out those that don't want to smoke pot, and you're left with actually a really, really small market, far less than the size of the state of California. So this is a big deal. Um, and people need to keep this in mind. Also, the Canadian government is not seeing legal purchases of marijuana. People are still buying from their dealers. So when people are going, well, the taxable income on pot would be fantastic, it hasn't proven itself to be. And so when you look at companies like ACB, that are they traded on the U.S. exchange? Absolutely. But the reality is that ACB is by and large a Canadian company. It is a very little surprise to me that we are going to see a continued decline. Now, ACB did run up into earnings because the retail pot crowd is always optimistic that this will be the day. This will be the day. This will be the time that pot finally becomes valuable, right? So if we pull up let's pull up ACB here. Um Okay, so yesterday it bought up from the 630 range to the 730 range. The company lost $3.3 billion last year. Pre-market ACB is back down to $6. I am bearish on pod stocks, guys. Unless we see now, if Biden wins, we're talking a different thing. If it looks like Biden's going to win the election, I will be a bull overnight on pot stocks. I will be looking myself to grab pot stocks. ACB will be first on my list to grab, but that's in the event that that Biden happens to win. Now let's take a look at what the current odds are on that. Okay, so Biden by 11, Biden by 10, even at the University of Georgia. Trump in South Carolina. Vermont, Biden, resounding. Democrats by 6 right now. Let's look at the Vegas polls. Vegas odds on president. So this is saying that Biden is a slight favorite to win. A very slight favorite to win at the moment on Vegas odds. I think Biden really needs to be pulling ahead more than this. I think he's not in a good place here. He needs to be. These polls tend to lean left. When we look at Hillary's polls headed into the election last time, she had like 71% of the vote. Biden is nowhere near those numbers right now. It's going to be a shit show. This election is going to be a shit show. But that being said, if Biden wins, ACB is a play. Okay, Shopify says 2 rogue employees stole data from fewer than 200 merchants in a breach that might have exposed customer emails, names, and order information. Complete payment card numbers and other sensitive information weren't exposed. Interesting. Entercom, for those of you guys that don't know, ETM is a communications play that I'm in. They do radio, they do podcasts, they do online distribution. Online ad spend is the majority of their dollars. Traditionally, when we're looking at ETM, what we're looking at is what we're looking at with ETM, guys. This is a historical play coming to fruition here. So ETM. Okay, over the last 5 years, one thing that we notice consistently with ETM is heading into the I mean, we can go back even further. Let's go back 10 years. Okay. What we notice is from about September to December every year, we see a spike in we see a spike in ad spend, which in turn reflects onto their portfolio. Okay. Now I want the U.S. election years as well because that factors in, right? Um, so 2016, 2012, 2008, 2004. Okay. Um, so 2012. So here's the 2010 to 2011 September. The stock was about $7-8, and it rose to 13 on the high. These candles are months, but it rose to about 13 on the high, so it about doubled up into Christmas. Here's the following year, September entry. We'll take it on the high, 637. By January, it was up to $8. Following year, September entry would have been 722. By January, 781. 2013, it was a $9 high. By January, it's $11. So there's just every year there's a consistent trend that if you get in September, right, and you ride this bad boy into January, you're gonna see gains. September into January. September into January. September into January. This is the first one where it's kind of sideways. September into January. We saw a decline here. And this has been a decline. September into January. So this year is the exception where it goes sideways on 2017, but every other year for the past 10 years has been bang on with this trend. Now, what we saw here, this is obviously the COVID drop here that's resulted in this fall. This is that March drop that killed the market. But we haven't seen recovery on this stock since then. And my thought is that the entry now at that $1.35 range, we do see a buy up headed into October, November, December on this, especially since it's an election year. And I think that we see this having that 300% potential of going back up to that $4 or $5 mark. So for me, this is a really solid play. Right now, I don't have as big of a holding in it as I would like. It's about $3,000 that I've got in there. Knowing that could triple, I'd probably want to move a little bit more in there, but we'll see what space does for me. If I can take the money from space and put it into ETM before it starts to move, that would be ideal. But we'll wait and see because space is into the end of next month. So pre-market, it's good to see that this is up around that 1670 area on my 1626 average cost. So space is still looking pretty solid here, guys. Yeah, so space. That was ETM, guys. So ETM is on the ad dollars that are about to flow in. I'm extremely bullish on that. The trend history for me looks good. Space. They made the announcement 2 weeks ago. Yeah, September 7th. So 3 weeks ago that their spaceflight test is set for October 22nd. Okay, guys. You'll see the previous year's chart here. This initial buy-up was on the news of its pre-orders for the first flights. And then it declined because people realized that that doesn't mean that there's actually going to be flights. It's just in the event there is flights, there was a pre-order. This following buy-up that we had here, this jump up into the 25 range, was on the Tesla SpaceX launch. And people say, well, those are two different businesses. Yes, but the sector moves. So when the sector moves forward, it moves forward together. In this case, with SpaceX not being able to be publicly traded, people started to trade space instead. My thought is that we see this go from its current $16 range to something closer to this $25 range in a month. So for me, that $25 range is kind of the sweet spot that I'm looking at. That's a 30% gain in 3 weeks. I will take that to the bank. Yeah, and so what I'm looking at there with space, guys, is I have both options and equity on it. Holding 3 contracts at 1750, with it already going back up to around that 1670 range. For it to go back to 1750 in the next week or so is not unlikely in my mind, especially over the next 2 weeks. At the very least, I think the options will be in strike. There will be positive gain on the equity. Now, I'm not looking to play this through the launch. I'm looking to play it up to the launch. I'm playing the hype. I'm not playing the launch itself. What else are we looking at here? Morning, Smash Ice. Back to school, back to school. So here's another gene therapy for sickle cell disease. Computer science. Ooh, shiny. Gonna be one of them programmers. Morning, Ajax. Oh, that's kind of cool, Timu. So you can trade Tuesday through Thursday to pay off the tuition from Monday and Friday. I like it. I like it. I can dig it. I can dig it. Hey, somebody's got to do it. I'm glad it's him and not me. That's it. That's just the thing. All right, guys. What are you watching today? What are you guys looking at? What are you guys watching today? Lulu. Ooh. Haven't talked about Lulu in a while. What is Lulu up to? We did already talk Tesla. The replay of this will be available on my YouTube channel, Kadoga. You might actually be able to go back to it around the 24-minute mark. You can see the breakdown that we did on Tesla. No problem, man. Yeah, look at this thing go. I think it's headed back to 400 too. I don't know that you missed out on the gravy train entirely. You may have to change your strike point, but WPRT, that's a good one. We should take a look at that. I think Lulu is really, really strong into Q4, Q1, with the get fit vibe that always happens, right? New Year, New You. Um, I think we see them being a very, very strong bull case headed into Q4, Q1. Um, why is my cam so scuffed? Is it super scuffed? You guys need higher quality imagery of this beautiful face? Is that what you're demanding? Oh no. I'll look at getting a much better camera one of these days, but um yeah, I hmm. It is a Logitech camera. It is indeed. Um the layout? Yeah, I'm a boomer, guys. I don't really play around with the tech side of this. Really, this is just here because I like to be able to have you guys see a face and kind of associate with it. But um, eh, you don't need me to look pretty. This is a stock thing, right? Like what matters is what's on this page and what we're talking about. So uh, it's squished on the width. I mean, maybe. Um, yeah, it may not be pretty, but it works. But I do appreciate you letting me know because I've done some pretty bonehead things over my time streaming. I'm blowing out your eardrums, or I've been talking for a half hour and my mic's not on. Cool. So I do appreciate that. Torskilatorius. Um, but yeah, I like Lulu. I like Lulu at 400 into Q1. I think you're in a good place. I don't know that it's too late to get a piece of that actually. Um. Okay, where was I? What was I doing? Somebody said something. WPRT. Okay, WPRT. I did exit my WPRT position, guys. If you want to see my portfolio, I do make it public to you guys. It is available on TipRanks. So WPRT got news yesterday that we are seeing they got certification for the ecological side of things. So environmentally, it has approval in China, but it doesn't have approval from their automotive from their what is the American equivalent to this? It's not the DMV. It's not road safe. They need approval from a second party in China to show that the converted diesel engines can operate in high elevation and in cold temperatures. Now, Westport is a Canadian company. This is where they started producing this technology. High elevation and cold weather is their bread and butter. So how long it takes them to get this approval, I don't think it's going to take very long. It's not like they have to go back to the drawing board and rework it. I'm fairly positive this thing already does what they need it to do, but we're still waiting on that certification. So that's where we're seeing this rebound back down. For me, this is a possible buy the dip. I will wait for it to finish this decline. If it comes back down to that $1.50 range, I will look at getting a piece of it again, because I think it's just a matter of time until it spikes up to $3 or $4. So if it comes down to that $1.50 range, I will look at taking a piece. That's the revised insight onto WPRT. Again, this would probably be. I had to wait a month and a half for this to come through. I would be okay with getting back in and waiting, a month or two. for additional news. There's another one that we were going to look at. So Westport Beyond. Did I see Beyond move? Again, guys, huge thank you for the follows and the subscribes. I don't really frequently dive into those. I just see them pop up every now and again. I don't have noises, but so Beyond Meat was one that I was bullish on. I had it towards 180 into Q1 of next year. It's continuing to move up. I mean, what nobody's really talking about, because we're all talking about coronas, is swine flu, and it's still a thing, and it's threatening the meat demand, the meat supply into a high demand as China's industry resumes. I think this continues to go. These dips and these declines almost always recover. Recovery. 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 It's just a question of how long you're willing to wait. But there are frequent buy the dips situations with this. Have I seen Soul? No, I've never heard of this ticker. Solar power, not interested. I did a breakdown earlier in the year of maybe 50 solar stocks. This is the one that I would play if I was going to play solar energy. Total. They have a blend of traditional natural gas, propane, solar, contracts with countries around the globe for decades. This would be the one that I play. GLUU. Okay, so this is a mobile phone company. Oh no, it's a gaming company. So they do work with Disney, Gordon Ramsay, Kim Kardashian. Design Home is with HGTV. I know because I have the app. I would want Martini's input on this. I don't really trade in gaming, especially mobile gaming. I don't really know the market. I'd want to know why the dip in August, early August, earnings misses on revenue. So they're still showing a 40% growth year over year. Now it missed by 32 million, so they were expecting more growth, but that's okay growth in my books. I would question why the loss here with a $40 million increase in revenue. Why is the net income worse? Is this because they license through Disney? Is that so? Is this new agreement with Disney costing them more than they're pulling in on it? Is this an ongoing trend? Third quarter guidance. So they're looking for similar numbers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know it. I don't know enough about it that it showed a decline despite gains in revenue. Is an issue for me. I'd want to see at least another quarterly report that shows that they're able to make money and that it's not Disney just sucking them dry. That's my thought on it. Update last night from CYDY looked really good. For those of you guys that for those of you that not a problem, man. For those of you that are interested in cytidine and leronlimab, I was watching this last night, this video. It is a breakdown. These guys that are on here, Mobeen Syed is a well-respected doctor. He does all kind. He's a PhD. He does all kinds of breakdowns on his channel on YouTube. He had the CEO and the chief medical officer for Cytidine on yesterday. They were doing a breakdown of leronlimab, what it looks like, what it's going to do. This thing has all kinds of craziness going on as far as possible stroke treatments, HIV cure, cancer treatments, NASH treatments, COVID treatments, NASDAQ uplisting. This thing is just a beast with all of these potential pipelines for gains. The NASDAQ listing, it's literally any day. We're just waiting. It could be today, it could have been yesterday, it could be tomorrow. Apparently, every morning they're calling and just checking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? A NASDAQ listing for CYDY would be big. I don't know how much harder it would run on news that its HIV drug is approved. There's lots of different things going on in the pipeline with this one. For CYDY, I am bullish on it. I do have a $3,000 position into it, into Q4. I'd like to see that double, potentially triple, but double would be fine. Now my dollar cost average on it's a little bit high, so for it to triple is going to be difficult. It would have to go to about 15 for it to triple. But what's up, Nitroxygen 0? We're talking about CYDY at the moment. This is CYDY. So for them to get out of OTC is going to be big. My dollar cost average is closer to 5, not this 350 mark. So I got in around here when they made the NASDAQ listing. But I think there's huge potential in it. Yeah, the listing was the big one that I took away. I didn't hear anything really come out that I didn't know already about the that I wasn't already aware of as far as the drug itself and what it does and what they're testing it for. There's no specific date for a NASDAQ listing, no. But what there is a when they asked the CEO directly, when is the NASDAQ listing, he goes, every morning I call the guy that is our liaison, our point of contact, and ask him, what's going on, what are we doing? And he says, we're just waiting. Could be any day. We're just waiting. So we'll see. The numbers look good. They look good. They look like they add up. They do have a backer from a bank in case additional equity is needed. The bank will provide that to them because the bank is going to see that return to them almost immediately. So as soon as it gets that NASDAQ listing, there will be a spike in the stock value, and you will see that go up. But yeah, who knows? It's any day. It is overdue. So when did they file? So July 16th, they filed a listing application. So typically it's 4 to 6 weeks. It was filed July 16th. So 6 weeks from July 16th would put it so that's 2, 4. It should have been start of September, and here we are closer to the end of September. Now, that being said, who knows how optimally NASDAQ is running through coronavirus, right? But if they get the uplisting, I think this doubles. See it go to 7. And then if they get any kind of FDA approval on HIV, cancer, NASH, COVID, we see it double again. Which is why Q4 is going to be kind of a big deal. But be aware, guys, this is an OTC, so tread lightly, do your own due diligence, read your own reports, make sure that happens, right? Yeah. Yeah, could quadruple. That opportunity is there. But it is an OTC stock, guys, so please, OTC bio stock, huge risk, huge inherent risk. All right, I am going to go fill up my water, just check on my kiddos because I can hear them rising, and I will be right back. But before I go, I want to leave you guys with our fine friends over at Restream. So let's do that. Am I holding until Q4? I'm holding into Q1. I think I'm next year, possibly longer, but we'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The fine folks from Restream for you. Enjoy. Okay, guys, we are back. Let's drop this. Nitroxygen, you're asking about Tesla. You'll be able to catch it on the recap. I throw this video up on YouTube as well. I'm live there. You can head to about the 24-minute mark on today's video, and I did a complete breakdown of Tesla, my thoughts on it, where it's going. For me, I am bullish on Tesla from what I saw last night, but I am bullish on a long play. The risk with CYDY is partially that they don't get NASDAQ uplisting. That's not a big deal. That's kind of gravy. The big deal would be if they don't get an approval on HIV, cancer, NASH, or COVID by Q1. That would be the big risk. And also it's OTC, so there's no requirement for you to be filled on your orders with it, so you do risk getting caught in it. SPY's up pre-market. That's good to see. All right, what else do you guys want me to look at? Is there anything else that you guys are checking out? Things that you want me to see? Things that you want me to dive into? It is a Wednesday, so typically news is a little bit slower on days like today. Oh, well, I mean, that's an interesting thought process. So, walk me through why you're going to sit out until post-election, because I think there's a lot of money to be made in the run up to an election. This is every 4 years. This is one of those things that people really want to be a part of. Is the market tends to respond favorably in growth up to the election, and then depending on which industry you back, there are even greater potential gains post-election. So I'm interested. What do you typically trade? You asked about Tesla. Are you typically a tech trader? Because tech into Q4 this year is massive, and entry now is going to mean the difference in huge gains into Q4, Q1 of next year. Stocks like Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, all of these are going to perform quite well into Q4, Q1. So now is a really good time to actually be a part of the market. Now I'm not trying to dissuade you guys one way or the other. I don't know that I've thrown the disclaimer up on screen in a while, so I'll throw that up. I'm not a financial professional. I'm just a degen like you guys, a regular man out there trying to do something in the market. But so nothing that I say is actual financial advice. I just like to understand people's thought process of why would you stay out of the market right now? Also, guys, good news. I will be going to 2 streams daily. We will continue to do this pre-market evaluation from 4:30 a.m. to 7 every day. But then I'm going to take a couple hours off, have coffee, get the family going, just touch base with my actual job. And then I will come back and do a stream from 9:20 to about noon, 11 or noon, depending on the day. So I will be doing market open as well. So every day we'll be doing my due diligence as the market opens, before the market opens, I should say, and then I will be coming back and doing a second stream. So, oh, you're using Bitcoin as a hedge. Interesting. Um, So yeah, you're a very different trader than I am. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin. I know many traders that I respect are in Bitcoin. For me, it's just not something I'm interested in. I may look at the digital yuan when it drops, just because it's backed by the Chinese government. But beyond that, I'm just not interested right now. I do agree that there's over valuation in tech, but I don't see that declining into Q1. I see that probably declining into Q3, Q2. Yeah, Unity wasn't so bad as far as the valuation goes, but the Snowflake IPO was a joke and continues to be a joke. Yeah, I'm of that same mind that Trump would be the best thing for the market and the economy. I do think he wins though. So you and I are on a little bit same page, different camps as far as heading to the election. I'm betting on him winning. I think he is going to win. Zen on the TSX, huh? Um, hmm. Yeah, it had a decent jump. It doubled yesterday. That's a big deal. What is up, wheels? What's up, Cobra Fire? I dig that name, man. Master Cobra Fire. Sounds like an old '80s cartoon villain. Um, ooh, news I might find interesting. Ooh. I always like interesting news. Yeah, I'm gonna put Zen on my watch list here. So the Viricide is for the masks. So it's not a treatment, it's a spray that they're putting on to the masks. That is 95% effective, I think, is what this is saying. 99% effective 35 days after application. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, graphene. I have a play in graphene. I've got stock in SEV, which is a graphene producer as well. They've got the largest graphene production in Canada, which isn't saying much because graphene's not really this huge moneymaker right now. But um, this is a big deal. That if you could have a mask that's 99% effective against COVID with a thin graphene spray, that's a big deal. Um, I think I would wait for it to decline. I don't know that it's going to hold this high. I think that it will come back down. But yeah. Weos, you got me sweating over here, man. Where's that news? What is it? I gotta know. Um, I think one of the big things for me, guys, is especially with what are we picking? Who's going to win? Who's going to be the food delivery in the U.S.? There's a couple different companies that we're looking at, right? Grubhub, Uber Eats. For me, the play that I like to take is Waiter. WTRH is the play that I'm on, simply because they've been profitable quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, and they continue to grow and expand profitably. They are now whether they're the winner, who knows? But for me, Waiter is the position. Um, yeah, Waiter's up to $4. I did take a position. Their market share is nothing, less than 1%, but they're profitable. So this is the thing. Uber claims to have like 35% of the market share, 40% of the market share, but they're not profitable. They have that market share, but they're not making money on it. It's hurting them to hold that position. Um, I honestly wish I had more of a position in Waiter. Um, I'll get 100 shares. I don't have a huge holding in it. I wish I had a bigger. I made so much money on it, but right, it's so cheap, but they don't make money on it. They don't. It's not there. And I don't know. Their plan is to, just buy up everybody in the marketplace. Have a a majority sharehold, we're talking 50% plus of the market, and then just slowly raise prices to the point where it's profitable. Yeah, WTRH. Most haven't. But this is one of the COVID plays that I took early on through COVID. Let's go to the big sheet. So yeah, this is one of the ones that I took through COVID. I wish you could do chart on chart with TD. I wish I could just put like you know what I mean, overlay another ticker on this chart. I don't know if that's possible. Hmm. Anyway, so this is the last 6 months. So in March, it was down around $1.20. This is when I initially got in. Went up to 333, sold, made a decent return on that. Bought in again when it dipped down to the $2 range. Sold again when I got around this $4 range. I did buy in at my current average is 350. I see it going to 5 or 6 on Q4. So there's still time for me to take a position in this. It just won't be as big of a gain as I would have liked. It'll be a 20 or 30% gain, which is fine. That's not terrible, but Biomed in Poland. Okay, let me take a look. Biomed, Poland, COVID. Biomed Lublin. They're going to start clinical testing end of October. It's a plasma-based drug, so it would have emergency use authorization in the States. Interesting. I'm not completely sold on plasma as a cure. This has been something that a few people have brought up over the COVID days. I'm not sold on plasma. Mostly because it requires more point of contact with hospitals or donation centers. And what you're doing is you're taking people that have had COVID or could still have COVID, and you're taking blood from them. For me, this just could compound the issue a lot faster than us coming up with a vaccine or treatment through other means. Now, it's not a terrible thing. I love that there's that innovation out there, and I wish them the best. But for me, it's not really a play that I would be necessarily bullish on. Um, that is, yeah, it is the first. Well, is it? Is it? Because the FDA approved a plasma treatment here in the States. FDA plasma treatment. Yeah, it is not the first. This is a study out of China that the FDA used to grant emergency use authorization to convalescent plasma in the US, and this was March. We are breaking down. There is a new treatment in Poland using convalescent plasma to treat COVID. We were just, I was just fact checking to see if it is in fact the first in the world. It does not appear to be the case. It appears like the FDA has been doing this since March. But that's good news for Poland that they're doing it, right? Um, yeah. Um, Again, I don't like the idea of you pooling people together that have had COVID and taking blood and samples, and it's just, for me, it compounds the issue. But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. I'm just a man with a Google. That's not Warren Buffett. Now I'm just seeing what the demand is out there. I'm not looking for a job. Um, it's just interesting to me to see. Yeah, the article I saw said they had 3,000 ready to go for the initial tests at the end of October. So we'll see what it produces. The miners had some contact. Apparently, they tested positive for COVID. So the antibodies that they took from the convalescent plasma is what they're using to produce whatever the treatment is. Um, I just like looking at these job applications because essentially this is what I do, right? So here's a fundamental equity senior analyst. This would be a guy that does exactly what I do, where you break down the market, you're looking at the equity market, you're making decisions based off of that. In order to apparently do this successfully, you need an MBA and a professional designation. So CFA, ACI. Your CFA would be your certified financial analyst, or certified. Yeah, I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. You can tell I don't have these degrees, right? So no MBA, no any of those accreditations. I don't have that crap. 3 to 7 years of relevant fundamental equities. I'm not opposed to that. Having 3 years of experience in the industry to be a senior analyst, that makes sense. You're going to manage a team, but this idea that okay, well, they want you to go to school for MBA is your bachelor plus 2, so 5 years plus professional designation. That's another 2, so 7 years. They want 7 years of school and then 3 to 7 years of training. So they're looking at somebody that has 10 to 14 years of education in order to make this happen. For me, I think that this drastically needs to change. This doesn't matter. Because the reality is, if you have 3 to 7 years of fundamental equities investment experience, you have survived the market for 3 to 7 years, right? This should be the only criteria. Have you been in the market and have you won? Hey, get a job with Westport Fuel. Well, I mean that's the interesting thing. So if I head here, I guarantee you, like I can't see who's beneath me here, right? But out of 184,000 investors on this platform, I'm ranked 56,000 right now. That this is before the end of the year. By the end of the year, these returns are going to get nutty. Um, so the SPY is down 5.5% this month. I'm up 17 and growing. I wonder. Yep. Yeah, I make a point of my equity portfolio being available for you guys. I keep this updated, so so with this, what I started using the tool in May. That's why this red candle is down. I didn't understand how to use the tool, so I put in all of my trades from January through April in May, which showed as a loss because I entered and I exited and I entered and I exited. It just led to a loss. But the reality is my portfolio started with 3 grand Canadian, so about 2,200 US in. About 2,200 US is what I started with. And as of today, I'm sitting on a market value of 26,000 US. So from 2,200 to 26,000 so far this year. And I am projecting Q4. I would like to be at around that $50,000 mark. So we'll see how that goes. I think CYDY is going to be a big piece of that puzzle. I think that ACRX is a huge piece of that puzzle. Space is not going to hurt. It's going to help. LPL into Q1 next year, I think, is going to be decent for me. ETM, I think, is going to be really good into Q4. I think it's possible. ETM, I see tripling, so that's another $6,000 there. That would take me to 32. ACRX I see going at least 6 times where it is. So that would be 6 by 11. So that would be 66 grand right there. ETM is red again pre-market. Yeah, again, ETM is a Q4 play. Yeah, so guys, the breakdown when you're looking to create a portfolio, when you're looking to get started, my price target on CYDY is $10. If everything goes the way that I think it's going to go, if they don't get the Nasdaq listing, that comes down to about 6. When you're looking to build a portfolio, guys, there's two things that you need to consider. Are you looking at growth or are you looking at income? Is it there for income or is it there for growth? If you are looking for growth and you're serious about that, then you're playing in what I'm playing in, right? Not long-term holds. You're playing in these plays that are much shorter time spans so that you can roll it and turn it. I like that six month window because it allows you to actually get 2 full cycles in, possibly 3, depending on how you're rotating your money. So having 3 full cycles, it's constantly this cash in that's happening, and you're just rotating and funneling that into the next cycle. So you see a solid, sustainable growth pattern when you trade on that 6 month calendar. For me, in my opinion. Now, if you're somebody that's looking to build revenue and you got a decent job, you got a solid income, and you're just looking to keep it simple, long-term holds, what I would highly recommend that you take a look at is a dividend portfolio. Um, where is the... Yeah, so head here. I cannot recommend this enough to you guys. Oh, that's not right. Not that. For some reason, the link didn't copy here. Sorry. Voila. There. That drip investing spreadsheet on dividend champions is seriously of note. I would highly recommend that you take a look at it. The way that they've broken it down is champions. How do they word it? Champions, contenders, challengers. So the champions that they have listed have increased their dividend every year for the past 25 years. Their contenders have done it for every year for the last 10 years, and their challengers have done it every year for the past 5 years. There are a ton of excellent opportunities in there for sustainable growth, a drip portfolio being built, and long-term holds. I highly recommend you take a look at that. If that is what you're considering as far as getting started on a portfolio for long-term holds, this drip portfolio concept through dividends is exactly what I would recommend. Which I can't make a recommendation. That's just my opinion because I'm not a financial guy at all. So, yeah, that is a thing and stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 6:50 in the morning. You could have a divvy portfolio in your 401k, as far as I understand. I actually don't. 401k is an American thing. I think a Roth is what you're looking for. You use a Roth IRA and have a drip portfolio built in that, so you have the ability to have that sheltered from taxes until you close out the portfolio. I think ideally that's where you'd want to be. But ask a financial advisor. How do you find your plays? Like going from never knowing a certain stock existed to hearing about it. So some of it is here in this community. People will just come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think about this stock?" And I'll take a look at it and kind of is like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. That's something worth looking at." Other times I will be scanning social media. I'll be scanning the feeds, and I find it through that. Other times I have scanners set up as well. I've got the bio calendar. So there's a lot of different tools that I use. Finviz is another one. That's a strategy. Redemption and I are kind of playing around with is this idea of insider buying being indicative of growth over a short period of time. And so what we see is when there's $1 million purchase of shares from a position inside the company, we typically see growth over the next several days. ETM had a purchase. It wasn't quite $1 million, I don't think, but let's go back here to, let's find one that had. Okay, so ETNB. ETNB had a $36 million purchase. Maybe this one. No, yeah. ETNB. So let's go to ETNB and see how it's done since September 17th. So it's interesting. It actually had a director buy up, but then decline. Typically, we're seeing these massive buys resulting in gains. Let's see if we can find another big one here. Won't let me go further back than that. That's too bad. So here's Sava, and this is as of September 17th. So let's open Sava. So Cassava Sciences, they had an insider buy on the 17th. So here at 7:09. Had you bought on the same day, it's now 10:45. You would have made 30% off of that. So this is kind of what we're looking at and thinking. Thoughts on Illumina? Current price seems like a steal long term. Oh, the ticker is ILMN. Are we talking the same thing here? So you're seeing the pre-COVID $400 deal? Yes and no. Insiders have to go through a different filing process for purchase. Okay, so yeah, this one, array-based solutions for genetic and genomic analysis. So this is spiking because the whole world is doing testing at the moment. I personally see this declining. So look at it over 10 years. I see it coming back down to this level more so than increasing back up to the 400 level. Most of the global testing has happened or is already happening. I don't see this. I don't see this being a $400, $500 stock. I see this coming back down to this 150, 180 range. In my opinion, this is where this should live, not up here. This is because of COVID. What do I think about GameStop? I played GameStop on their last quarterly earnings. I took calls, puts, and equity, and I won on all three. My price target on it was $8. I think it's actually overextended right now. I would have got back in had it dipped back down to the $6 or $5 range. But realistically, it's just not of interest to me now. It's overpriced where it is. Is it sustainable? I don't think so. I think an $8 valuation on it is reasonable. I think that's kind of where it belongs. So I think it's overreaching. And it's great that they had the gains. I think yesterday they were up 20%, right? Yeah, GameStop 20%. But this is unrealistic. I'm a huge fan of TipRanks. I love what they do. I have the upgraded version, whatever they call it, the ultimate version. So it just gives me access to pretty much everything on the platform. I'm not sure why I haven't heard about it, but so the new consoles are a reality, but that I think that's priced in at this valuation. So it's $6. I was saying. Go back to GameStop here. I got into GameStop when it was down here at that $4 range, and as we headed to 6, I was like, okay, this is great, this is good, this is where it should be. And then it spiked a little bit more to 7, came back down to 6. But $8 price target was with the understanding of Q4 is upon us, and so too will be the next gen consoles. I don't think that this continues to run. And I could be wrong, but I just don't think that it continues to run. TipRanks is used primarily by investors. I don't know what the 10-10-1 rule is, though. I don't know what that rule is. 10-10-1 rule. Yeah, that rule isn't one that I trade on. If we're gonna look at my portfolio, Stocky can use it. That's fine. But what I'm looking to build is a growth portfolio, and using that concept, growth portfolio is very, very difficult. Stocky's looking to build a revenue portfolio, an income portfolio, so he's doing long-term holds. So I currently have 3 stocks that are pretty darn close to over 10% of my portfolio. Now, the issue with that is that 10-10-1 is with ACRX, the gains on it and the data on it make it as such that I'm willing to put in 40% of my portfolio because I expect this play to quadruple, quintuple, octuple. And so, of course, I want 40% of my portfolio in. Now, the other plays that I've got here, so Space, again, Space is a short-term play into the October launch, but for me, it's a sure thing. And I know that people hate to hear that when you're a trader saying sure thing, but for me, it's a sure thing. For my portfolio, it's a sure thing. ACRX is a sure thing. Space is a sure thing. And then the rest of these, as you go down, not as sure, but I'm fairly confident of. ETM, I'm fairly confident of, given its price movement historically. CYDY, they've got so many possibilities in the pipeline that I'm willing to have that. What are the risks you see in ACRX? I don't see a risk in ACRX, which is why I have 40% of my portfolio. Typically with Biostock, the risk that you're looking at is, FDA approval. That's the one. Like, are they going to get FDA approval? I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. But the other thing that I do most days on stream is I open up my actual portfolio for you guys to see. So this is my actual trading desktop. This is my portfolio. You can see all my entries. Here's my average costs. My average cost on ACRX is $1.72. I entered ACRX back in Q1 of this year. Yep. Yeah, so my play on ACRX was the full year. Most of my trades are 6 to 12 months. 6 to 18 months. With 6 to 18 months, I knew that ACRX had Class C milestone approval back in January, which means that the military could buy Dasuvia. And we've had more good news since then on the the JDF ruling, on the RFP proposal to remove fentanyl and just use Dasuvia exclusively. But I knew that military budgets came out Q4 of this year, and that's where ACRX was going to really see a pump in money flow in. And that's what we're buying up to now is military budgets are starting to come out. We're seeing deals with the U.S. Air Force, with BlackBerry. We're seeing all kinds of crazy things happen. So for me, that's kind of where I'm at with ACRX. Is my play was on November or December. We'll see what it does. I may hold it into Q1 of next year. All right, guys, it is 7 a.m. though, so I'm gonna bid you adieu. If you missed any of this, it's always available on YouTube on the replay. I will have that up shortly for you here. And then I will be back from now on. I will cut at 7 and I will be back at 9:20ish, 9:30ish in order to go live on Market Open, and I'll trade the first few hours of the market with you guys and kind of hang out, see what's going on, see what's moving, and I'll do that with you. So if you're around in a couple hours, I look forward to seeing you again. If not, you guys can always catch the replay on YouTube. I will see you later. Thank you so much to all the new subs, followers, etc. Can't wait to catch you guys again tomorrow, 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay green out there.